Come, let us explore how some meditations could cause chest tightening. This evening's lesson is drawn from a good-hearted question found on Reddit. Short breaths and chest tightening while meditating. Whenever I start meditating and just trying to observe my breathing, I notice that my chest starts to constrict and my inhalation and exhalation becomes very short and shallow. It's bothering me because I'm not sure how to release that tension in my chest. I know it's related to my anxiety and stress, and I don't know how to ease the chest. I know that when I lie down, the chest tightening eases up. So you ask a very important question, and I'm happy to help you with this. We shall begin with broad brushstrokes. We can have two relationships with our breath. In the first relationship with our breath, we scrutinize it and focus upon it with great effort, the way a biology student would examine a slide through a microscope. Now, neurologically speaking, the only way to do this is by relying upon discrete mechanisms such as those found in our medial prefrontal cortex. Now, the prefrontal cortex is Jim Dandy if you want to compare, contrast, sort, organize, calculate, reason, or edit. But like a Stradivarius, it is fragile. And when overused, it triggers our amygdala, this lumpy thing here that kind of looks like a P. So when our amygdala is the seat of both aggression and anxiety. So here's the dark irony. We can have the best of intentions to be peaceful, but if we receive advice that doesn't work well, advice to actively concentrate, it's going to actually multiply our anxiety and the symptoms of anxiety, which can include chest tightening and shortness of breath. Now, I must do my due diligence. If this is acute, that's great. If this has only been going on since you started meditating, this is an easy fix. But if this is chronic, if this is lifelong, it could be indicative of a larger order cause, of a physiological cause. Quite often when it comes to chronic emotional challenges, they're not emotional problems as much as emotional symptoms of physiological problems. So you want to confer with a psychiatrist who specializes in the comorbidities of, in disorders such as POTS or Ehlers-Danlos. Those can create the symptoms you're experiencing. Other challenges, such as ADHD or autism or both, could also contribute to that. So in the description area below the video, there is a, what's it called? Wrong button, darn it. Let's go over here, there we go. Okay. So in the description area below the video, oh, come on now, machine, don't be that way. Wow, this is just not behaving. Let's go like this and click copy and then return over here. So let's go to the left and paste the link. So this link I'm giving you is not live. So ndtherapist.com. Now, there is a live version of this link in the description area below the video. So for a long-term solution, this could be a very viable course of action. So clearly I'm not an MD, I'm not a PhD, I'm not a PsyD, I can't render diagnosis, I don't have enough information to do that. But if these symptoms you are describing are long-term, it's worth getting it checked out, because knowing the genuine cause of a set of symptoms can be very liberating, and it can inform your actions in the future. But that's neither here nor there. So we've discussed how actively concentrating can activate our amygdala, intensify your anxiety, and give you the sensations of chest constriction and shortness of breath. So here's a short-term remedy that could help. We've already identified that the prefrontal cortex, though Jim dandy for many activities, is not ideal for mindfulness or meditation. That begs the question, what regions of our prefrontal cortex, I take this back, what regions of our central nervous system, that's the right word, what regions of our central nervous system are ideal for mindfulness and meditation? Every time we inhale, whether we know it or not, we are accessing the sympathetic nervous system found in the middle third of our spinal cord. This bad boy has evolved to help us perceive in a very special way, to help us perceive vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly. So if this sounds like it's yin, you're 100% correct. If this reminds you of the dude in The Big Lebowski, full points. So we have evolved to notice all manner of things. Sights, sounds, sensations, flavors, scents, and the like, including emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and imaginings. Every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, we are wired to access our parasympathetic nervous system located in the upper third and the lower third of that same structure. This parasympathetic nervous system has evolved to help us both physically relax and mentally release. So here's everything I said in a nutshell. If you are concentrating with your prefrontal cortex, that could exacerbate your anxiety. If you passively notice and release in harmony with your in harmony with your autonomic nervous system, then you could experience great peace and rapid mastery of the entirety of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. So what I'd love to do is practice with you after approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I've spent about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of meditation so that you would not have to. Welcome, my friends, to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. This evening, I thought it'd be great fun to return to the 4 contemplations and 12 meditations of the Anapanasati Sutta. Let us begin in homage to the Metta Sutta by setting an intention by chanting love and releases wishes for universal enlightenment and well-being. Now, these are not prayers to real or imagined entities. We are simply using words to guide our own intention. One moment. Let's begin. May all circumstances of all beings appearing yet impermanent be as safe and abundant as a real or imagined Buddha's land. May all minds of all beings clear yet impermanent be as joyfully enlightened as a real or imagined Buddha's mind. May all relationships of all beings resounding yet impermanent be as peacefully loving as a real or imagined Buddha's speech. May all bodies of all beings yet sensual yet impermanent be as beautifully healthy as a real or imagined Buddha's form. Let us begin with Dhammasati, and Dhammasati is set for impermanence contemplations to help us to circumstantially let go. To let go as well as this kitty cat sneezing upon the Buddha statue. So we're going to play with a series of, going to play with 4 rhetorical questions. During the in-breath, we can silently and mentally recite what? During the exhalation, we can silently and mentally recite change. Let us replace the word change with the verb fade. Let us replace the verb fade with the verb cease. Once again, these are rhetorical questions. So by simply playing with the question, what cease, it's helping us become more and more comfortable with the idea of the inevitability of change, whether that change is subtle or jarring, external or internal, physical or mental, pleasurable or painful, interesting or boring, glorious or grotesque. Let us now shift to the fourth contemplation. This is where we consider relinquishing and surrendering and letting go. Welcome aboard. Welcome to the second quarter of this evening's practice, where we continue with Kaya Sati's only set of 4 preliminary meditations that center our bodies. So, our job is not to be thoughtless and mind blank. Our job is not to concentrate or focus. Excuse me. Our job is to gently notice and release. So we're noticing the length of our breath, but we're doing that passively through the power of words. During the in-breath, we're going to silently, mentally, and passively recite the verb watch. During the exhalation, we're going to silently, mentally, and passively recite the adjective long. Excuse me. So let's do this for several breaths. Anywhere from 12 to 36 breaths. During the in-breath, we silently and mentally recite the verb watch. During the exhalation, we silently and mentally recite the adjective short. And we are gently inviting our subconscious to notice the brevity of breath, the shallowness of breath, noticing without forcing. During our inhalation, let us silently and mentally recite the verb here. During our exhalation, let us silently and mentally recite the noun form, which functions as a monosyllabic synonym of body. Now, we're not forcing anything. All we're doing is playing with words in harmony with our breathing, and we're letting our subconscious do the heavy lifting. During our inhalation, we can silently, mentally, and passively recite the noun form, which functions as a one-syllable synonym for body. During our exhalation, we can silently and mentally recite the verb ease, which is a synonym of relax. Now, this is not a contrivance. We are not forcing our body to relax. Every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, we are accessing our parasympathetic nervous system, which has already been wired by evolution to cause us to physically relax and mentally release. All we're doing is labeling something that's already occurring in the background. It's kind of like when we were kids sitting in the back seat, bored out of our minds during a road trip, and all of a sudden we became aware of our tongue. It was there all along, but all of a sudden we noticed it. Same thing with this. We continue with Vedana Sati Seta 4 jhana meditations that center our feelings. During our inhalation, we can silently, mentally, and passively recite the verb grin, During our exhalation, we can silently, mentally, and passively recite the noun form, which functions as a monosyllabic synonym for body. That's all we got to do. We don't have to force our lips to smile. We don't have to force our cheeks to smile. We don't have to force the crow's feet at the corners of our eyes to smile. If all we do is silently, mentally, and passively play with this verb, that's enough. During the inhalation, we silently and mentally recite the same verb, but during the exhalation, we switch nouns from form to thoughts. Now, thoughts is still monosyllabic, but it's an umbrella term to describe our emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and imaginings. Oh, goodness. During our inhalation, we can silently and mentally recite the verb here. During our exhalation, we can silently and mentally recite the umbrella term thoughts, which is a catch-all for all of our emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and imaginings. During our inhalation, we can silently, mentally, and passively recite the noun thoughts, which functions as an umbrella term for all our emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and imaginings. During our exhalation, we can silently and mentally recite the verb ease, remembering that this is not an affirmation, we're not forcing this, we're not pretending. We are already wired to relax and release during each exhalation. This label is just helping us to notice that the process that was already present, and more than notice, cooperate, that we might transcend whatever latent resistance we might be experiencing towards this natural and healing process. Welcome to the final quarter of this evening's practice. We conclude with Chitta Sati's second set of 4 jhana meditations that center our mind. As we breathe in, silently and mentally and passively, we can recite the verb here. Now, this is not a contrivance. This is not an affirmation. We are already wired to notice a plethora of things during each inhalation. By playing with this verb, we're simply aligning our awareness with a process that heretofore might have been in the background. During the exhalation, we silently and mentally and passively recite the noun mind, which is functioning as a umbrella term for the most subtle or the most basic perceptions, those of sight, sound, sensation, flavor, and scent. During our inhalation, we can silently, mentally, and passively recite the verb grin. We don't have to pull the corners of our mouth. We don't have to accentuate the apples of our cheeks. We don't have to crinkle the crow's feet of our eyes. If all we do is silently, mentally, and passively recite the verb grin, that's enough. And again, the noun mind is an umbrella term for the most basic perceptions of sight, sound, sensation, flavor, and scent. If you've just tuned in, welcome aboard to the final quarter of tonight's practice. During our inhalation, we can silently and mentally recite the noun mind, which functions as an umbrella term for the basic perceptions of consciousness, those of sight, sound, sensation, flavor, scent, and the like. During our exhalation, we can silently and mentally recite the verb ease, which is a monosyllabic synonym of relax. Now, this is not an affirmation. This is not a command. We're not forcing relaxation. Due to the nature of our parasympathetic nervous system, we are already wired to physically relax and mentally release during each exhalation. And so all we're doing is by labeling a process that is going on in the background, we're enabling ourselves to cooperate with it and perhaps even reduce our resistance to it. We come to this evening's final silent exercise. During the inhalation, we persist in silently, mentally, and passively reciting the noun mind, which is functioning as an umbrella term for mind's most basic perceptions of sight, sound, sensation, flavor, and scent, and the like. During the exhalation, we are silently and mentally reciting the verb free, as in release or liberate. Like if you're old enough to remember Mork and Mindy, fly, be free. This is not an affirmation. This is merely labeling a latent process that's already operating in the background, like an app on your smartphone. Due to the nature of our parasympathetic nervous system, every time we exhale, we're wired for both physical relaxation as well as mental release. And so all we're doing is cooperating with this process, or at the very least, taking a break from our habit of living in resistance to it. Please remember, free or liberate does not mean shove away. Consider this phrase: whatever comes, glorious or grotesque, let it come. Whatever stays, interesting or boring, let it stay. Whatever goes, pleasurable or painful, let it go. Oh, this is a typo. I shall delete this right now. Oopsie. Here we go. Let us seal this practice by chanting love and releases wishes for universal enlightenment and well-being. This, what follows, is not a prayer, it's not a petition, it's not a supplication to a real or imagined entity. We're simply using words to guide our intention. For words lead intention, intention leads thought, thought leads energy, energy leads matter. So, death touches each person. This week I lost my aunt. We might have losses. We might have lost a friend, a relative, a neighbor, a co-worker. We've lost fellow members of our city. Whether we know them or not, we've lost fellow members of our state, of our nations, of our world population. People die of disease. People die of crime. People die from genocide. Let us wish that all beings everywhere, real or imagined, enjoy optimal circumstances. Together, may all circumstances of all beings appearing yet impermanent be as safe and abundant as a real or imagined Buddha's land. May all minds of all beings clear yet impermanent be as joyfully enlightened as a real or imagined Buddha's mind. May all relationships of all beings resounding yet impermanent be as peacefully loving as a real or imagined Buddha's speech. May all bodies of all beings sensual yet impermanent be as beautifully healthy as a real or imagined Buddha's form. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 10 2/3 hours, I would very much like to return to lead tomorrow's early meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.